Book 2, A Journey to Real Freedom, Part 16. Yes, you will be fine, said Rebazar. Most people, like the old man, are really harmless. They just don't know where else to go. The old man and his mother have chosen to stay where they are until they decide differently. At times, the real universal guides will present themselves to people like this to see if they want assistance going beyond what they know. But until they are willing, they will stay where they are, possibly for many more lifetimes. You will be learning a lot about so many of the things that cannot be seen on the surface. That is why we guided your mum to stop at the hotel. You can see his other form because you are sensitive to it. Your mother, on the other hand, cannot see it. So she thinks that it is all your imagination. All of this is a good experience for you. It may seem spooky to you now, but someday you will look back and find it all very humorous. You mean he wasn't out to get me or Mum? He was just roaming about, not knowing what else to do? I asked. Rebazar nodded his head and then smiled with a little laughter. Oh boy, I thought, what an experience. I sat back on the sand for a moment and looked straight up into the sky. I looked straight into the sun, and it did not burn my eyes. I had the most wonderful feeling that I would know so much more than ever before. I wanted to stay here and never go back to that old spooky place again. This place was like heaven. Maybe it was heaven. Then I sat up and asked him, "Is this heaven, Mr. Rebazar?" "It can be, if you like," he said. I thought to myself, this is great. I'm in heaven. Where are the angels? I asked. They are on their break for now, said Rebazar. What does that mean, sir? I asked. I am taking their place for now, he said, with a little chuckle. Huh? I thought. I would like to see the angels. I sat back on the sand as the scene faded, and suddenly found myself back in the old spooky room on the bed. The place was all lit up as the sun shined through the dusty window, and for some reason I felt a little better. Mum was already in the bathroom, and then walked out as I was looking around. "Okay, Sonny, time to get up, you sleepyhead," she said as she was brushing her teeth. "Get ready, because we will be getting into California soon." I jumped out of bed and quickly dressed. I felt so much better now that the sun was shining, and I was reassured from what Rebazar told me. I just had a life-changing experience that I would never forget. I didn't understand everything that was going on right now, but someday I knew I would reflect back on all that had happened here and realize what a useful episode it would be in my life. It was good to feel good again. We gathered all of our things, then went to the car and headed off. As we were driving, I asked Mum if she saw or heard anything strange during the night. "Only you being weird, you goofy kid," she said, with a big smile. We both laughed as we drove down the highway, and so I just left it all at that. After a while, I went to sleep again and sailed off somewhere to my dream worlds, and suddenly in the sky and flying with these huge white birds. They were much bigger than me, and we were all gracefully gliding in the sky and flying above the beautiful blue ocean. As I looked around, all I could see was the ocean and the sky, as it seemed to be all there was. I felt so free and real as the gentle air moved past with me gliding through it. It was the most fascinating thing to watch these giant birds gracefully move their wings up and down so casually. As I got older, I would come to know these birds as pelicans that hung around the Pacific Ocean. For now, I was happy to be with them. As we continued to fly, two of the birds that were on each side of me suddenly appeared as Rebazar and Gopal Daz. "Hello, Duane. Are you enjoying the flight so far?" asked Rebazar, as they both smiled and waved at me. I began to laugh at what he said, and then they turned back into white birds. We continued to fly until I felt myself return to the car with Mum, because she was shaking me to wake up. "Duane, are you with us here?" she asked, as she moved my arm. I opened my eyes real slow and said, "I am here, Mum. I was having the most wonderful flying experience. I was in the sky with all these big white birds. And then, that's nice, dear. We are going to stop over here," she said, cutting me off from what I was telling her, and pointed to where we were going. Mum wanted to stop to get us something to eat, and so she pulled up to this roadside place and parked the car. I wasn't that hungry, but I was willing to make her happy. I slowly got out of the car and followed her in. The place was filled with a lot of big burly guys who drove those big trucks that were parked outside. Most of the gnarly dudes looked at Mum when we walked in, and even one of them did a slight whistle at her. Mum was the hot mama. She giggled as we sat down in a booth. A funny-looking waitress came over, and with a kind of a kinky voice, asked us what we wanted. Mum always took her time ordering anything, so the waitress got tired of standing too long, and she huffed off to someone else. She finally did figure out what she wanted, and the waitress did finally come around to us again, and things got ordered. While we were eating, She asked me what I was screaming about last night while I was sleeping. I knew that I couldn't explain to her what really happened, so I told her that I had a bad dream. I was beginning to realize that Mum was in her own world. I have those dreams from time to time, but they are only your mind playing tricks on you, Duane. Just silly stuff, she said. At my age, I figured that Mum knew what she was talking about. But then again, so much of what she was saying had nothing to do with what I was already experiencing. I was picking up on a lot of what was going on real fast. I was gaining more experience with this life and beginning to see more sides to what was being considered by her and others that I would meet. Children have a simplified view of things, and many times what is taking place, where adults usually invent some kind of idea that makes no sense. Children really do see what adults are doing, and many times trying to hide. Adults seem to create their world and then do not want to see past it and look for others to agree to their spot in life. Mum seemed to know how to drive her car fine, but when it came to what I was trying to tell her, she was way off the road. I kept dreaming of flying with the great white birds, and I didn't care if she wasn't interested at all, because I knew there was always something fun and exciting to all the experiences I was having. Rebazar and I began to have a lot of wonderful experiences together, and that's all that mattered to me, as I was in my own worlds too.